As the old saying goes, even a broken clock is right twice a day. It's very seldom I find myself in agreement with Simon Jordan on quite a few things, but yeah, I disagree with him strongly on a lot of things, especially when it comes to boxing. But in this one, I'm agreeing and disagreeing with certain things he's saying. So him, Adam Cattrall, who is always the voice of reason, you know, when you have Adam Cattrall in there talking boxing, and I've always said this about Adam Cattrall, he's very good. Is he the most knowledgeable guy to just come off the top of his head? No, but he has more than your average guy, put it like that. He knows what he's talking about. He very so often is the voice of reason. Certainly on TalkSport when it comes to Simon Jordan and especially Spencer Oliver. Spencer Oliver, God help him. I mean, just some of it is just... I've never seen anyone who is as oblivious to what's going on, whether he's doing punditry or whether he's just talking about boxing. I've never seen anyone so oblivious to even simple questions that are asked. It's just... God help him. But they are having a debate. Debate as to whether the rematch between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois should be happening next, whether Anthony Joshua is really obligated. I mean, it's Daniel Dubois who's somewhat obligated, but whether the obligation should even be there, given the fact that Joshua went in as a challenger, a voluntary challenger at that. Surely if he'd have beaten Daniel Dubois, you would say Dubois having a rematch clause, there's no issues there, it's a voluntary defence, it's standard. But to give a challenger a voluntary defence and have a two-way rematch, which we know now is not the case, it has to be agreed on by all parties. Irrespective of that, in a fight that was as one-sided as it was, why should we have a rematch? Now, they're mentioning business, and this is where I disagree with Spencer Oliver. He says that Anthony Joshua is the biggest star in boxing. In fact, actually, I'll cut some little snippets of it and have a listen.
But we know why, because Anthony Joshua is the biggest name in boxing.
I get
for whatever
that.
reason, his achievements don't match his name, with respect, and he brings it to the table that you know you're going to get the crossover, he brings the juice, irrespective of if any other heavyweight were cleaned out the way he was, people would be saying, done, finished, no longer any more commercial proposition. And he gets another shot. Also on that...
building process again, read the new development, that's all done now. AJ needs to go into that immediately.
But should it be the next fight?
Yeah.
Why?
Why not? He wants to...
You're talking about a world title challenger, right? Losing a world title challenge.
Yeah.
Getting a rematch.
And calling for the rematch.
He had the rematch clause put in, that was in the contract.
That's not true.
He doesn't have
No, he doesn't.
All right,
No, he doesn't.
the powers of whoever around him are going to make that fight happen.
But is it the fight that should be being made?
Yeah, why not? I thought it was a good fight.
Because Joseph Parker sat over here, he's smashing everybody to pieces and not getting an opportunity.
Yeah,
Why is he
but
not
I'm
getting
just
his crack with Daniel Dubois?
That's for Joseph Parker's team to sort out. This is called the business.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, is that the fight? The fight is Joseph Parker versus...
So why is it the fight, Spence? Because you're in Anthony Joshua's corner?
No, because that's the fight I want to see. It's not...
You've seen it once.
There's no reasons why. You just go to me, do you want Joseph Parker or Anthony
If you saw
Joshua?
that in another heavyweight, and you saw someone getting cleaned out in the end the way Anthony Joshua did against any other heavyweight, you wouldn't be saying that it's a given right for them to have another rematch.
Yeah, but it's not any other heavyweight, is it? It's like I'm just giving you my opinion on should that fight happen. And Eddie Hearn wanted the immediate rematch straight away. Anthony Joshua wants the immediate rematch. The public want to see it, and why not?
Listen, I get it.
You're
right?
Why not?
No, I'm not at all. Listen.
Why? Because I think there's a fairness in the boxing ecosystem. If you don't allow that to be fair...
So where do you see it going?
Where do I see it going? I think they'll make the fight.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
of course they are,
who would you like to see Daniel Dubois box next, I'm saying?
Whoever Daniel Dubois has to box as a mandatory right for being the champion of the division that he's in.
So, yeah, essentially Spencer Oliver, he's talking, but essentially Simon Jordan is basically saying that Joshua being the biggest name, I wouldn't necessarily say he's the biggest name in boxing. I would say in the UK certainly, but in the US that's definitely Canelo Alvarez. I think boxing has several big names. No one is a kind of Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson in a sense of their, worldwide known or anything like that. But certainly in the UK is Anthony Joshua the biggest name. It's between him and Tyson Fury. It's no ifs or buts. He's basically saying that Joshua's resume or his career doesn't warrant him being the biggest name in boxing. I disagree with that. Certainly in British boxing, I tend to disagree with that because, this is a guy who, Simon Jordan will just blow smoke up the Furies. You know what? I was almost going to say it there. And if you said Tyson Fury is the biggest star in British boxing or world boxing, you might not flat out just be like, yes, he is. But, that's an interesting point. Given the fact, again, he had a trilogy with Deontay Wilder, which is aged like milk. Klitschko, he fought over a decade ago. And what? Anthony Joshua, yeah, he beat Klitschko. Was it as easy for him as it was Tyson Fury? No. Was Klitschko retired? No. Like Carl Froch claimed in an interview he did with Simon Jordan. Was he retired? Hell no, he wasn't. And your math is a bit off if you think November 2015 to April 2017 is 2 years. It's not. I don't even think it's nearly. I don't even think it's a year and a half. So Anthony Joshua, and then you look at Parker. Even though he lost the Usyk fight, still look at the Usyk fights. That kind of got Usyk from kind of there to there in the stratosphere. He brought Usyk along with him up to the dizzying height. That's why it was such a big fight, Fury Usyk as well, because everyone knew who Usyk was, given what he did to Anthony Joshua twice. So I disagree with Simon Jordan there, but what I do agree with is, in reality, should this fight be happening next? No. Has Anthony Joshua warranted a rematch? No. If this is where Spencer Oliver is a bit all over the place, because he's basically saying that, yes, it should happen next. Why should it happen next? It just should. I'd love to know, how much TalkSport are paying him to, give these detailed, let's find out why. Yeah, they just should. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Why should I win the lotto tomorrow? I just should. Is that going to make it happen? Well, I'd have to play it to do it, but you know what I mean. You just should. I mean, he's really earning whatever they're paying him. And then I laugh because Simon Jordan actually says, oh, is this because you're a fanboy? I'm paraphrasing. Is this because you're a fanboy of Anthony Joshua? No. Then why do you want to see the fight? Because I want to see it. He just, God bless him. God bless him. Should the fight be happening next? No. I don't think so. In a sense of, from a moral standpoint, Joshua being the voluntary, losing in one-sided fashion. Been different if it had been a competitive fight. Joshua maybe made an argument for winning it on the scorecards, but they gave it to Dubois, dubious decision, stuff like that. Under those circumstances, I'd say yeah, and I'd be saying they should probably order an immediate rematch, or they should look to do something. Joshua being blown out in 5 rounds, dropped several times, hurt multiple times, and nearly knocked out cold in the end. That doesn't warrant a rematch. And if Joshua goes straight back in there, a lot of people say, oh, he can make an adjustment. Listen, I'm sure if he made adjustments, he could go longer. But at the end of the day, this isn't a 20-something. And I think, was it Spencer Oliver, or I think it actually might have been Spencer Oliver, at the start of the video was actually saying that there's no point in going through the motions of rehabilitating. That's probably the only thing I agree with. Yeah, there isn't a point. He's too long in the tooth now. He's 35 now, Anthony Joshua. So I think it was his birthday over the weekend. So yeah, there is no point in going through the motions again in order to try and rebuild them. It's too late now for that. That ship is well and truly sailed. Then you look and say, well, what's next? It probably should be either retirement, or maybe look to have a fight with Tyson Fury regardless who wins, or maybe go and sail off into the sunset against the fight with someone like a Dylan White or Deontay Wilder. A fight against people who are at your level at this stage in your career. Not going straight back in there with a guy who's younger than you, significantly younger than you, and dominated you in 5 one-sided rounds, nearly knocked you out cold. I just don't think that makes any logical sense. You could say it's from a business, that the fans want to see it. Do the fans truly, genuinely want to see it? Because, I would watch it, yes. I'm saying if they did the rematch, would I watch it? Yeah, I would. But would I be as intrigued as I was first time around? No, I wouldn't. When a rematch for a fight that's one, which is as one-sided as that, happens, very seldom do they be, do they do better in terms of the gate pay-per-view buys than they did the first time. It's different if it was a competitive fight like Fury versus Wilder. That rematch, I think, did the best out of all three, because it wasn't. I felt Fury won the first fight, but you had those drama moments. Wilder, you could have made a claim and stuff like that. This was just one-sided, so I don't see why the fans will be, clamoring for this rematch immediately. That's the big fight to make. I disagree with Spencer Oliver there strongly. But Simon Jordan, do I agree? If Simon Jordan is saying that, look, he should fight his mandatory. Unfortunately, he hasn't got a mandatory. If that's the case, then he should be essentially looking to target the winner of Fury versus Usyk too, try and get undisputed. Or at the very least, if Usyk wins and he vacates it, looking to challenge whoever the next champion is until your mandatory is called, and then you're obliged to fight your mandatory. If you want to take a voluntary, it's all well and good. But I agree with Simon Jordan in saying, your mandatory, if there is a mandatory called, there you go. There won't be, because there's obviously a final eliminator between Cavaliel and Bacoli, which has to happen first before a mandatory can be called, but you get where I'm going. Adam Cattrall is mentioning Joseph Parker, and all Spencer Oliver can say is, it's the business. Well, again, it doesn't make any sense what you're coming out with. You know, you're just saying, oh, well, I'm not, you know, it's not me being a Joshua fan, but it just needs to happen. Why? Because it just does. Brilliant. Flipping brilliant. In terms of what Simon Jordan said about Joshua not having the depth of resume, so to speak, to warrant being the biggest star, listen, you win an Olympic gold medalist, you're going to turn, and you're a heavyweight, you're going to turn pro to a lot of fan acclaim. That's just going to happen. It helped that Joshua was marketed very well. He was, from a PR point of view, he did very well. He was entertaining in the ring, and you know, he wasn't pampered like a lot of people say. He beat Charles Martin, you know, ha 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 ha. A year later, he was fighting Klitschko. A year later, he was fighting Barker. A year later, he was fighting Ruiz. Had 2020 not been the way it was, who would he have been fighting then? A year later, he fights Usyk. A year later, he fights him again. You see where I'm going with this? From Charles Martin, with the exception of 2020, the only kind of real easy-ish year he had, and I say easy, it was fairly easy, was 2023. Over the last couple of years, in terms of fighting Joseph Parker, who was unbeaten, Vladimir Klitschko, and long reign and all-time great fighter. He fought Andy Ruiz twice, a very, very good fighter in his day in 2019, lost 1-1-1. Pulev, yeah, 2020, right that year off. Lost to Usyk twice, but still went in there. You know, it could have took step-aside money second time around, didn't. So there you go. There you go. So Anthony Joshua, does that resume warrant for him being a big name? Definitely. But do I think the rematch should happen next? It might be the only avenue he can go down in terms of making that kind of money again, but I mean, realistically, I would watch it, but it wouldn't be a fight on top of my list, top of my agenda to watch, put it like that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Peace.